Welcome to Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast. Partner with Planting Positive Seeds nonprofit to help girls locally and globally become the best version of themselves. You can help us by donating to one of our initiatives on our website, www.plantingpositiveseeds.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inspirational Talks with Dr. LaDonna Marie. I am so happy that you join us on the podcast whenever you join. If it's night, if it's morning, if it's late afternoon, we thank you for listening to all of our special guests and just coming by to see and to hear what's going on. You know, tonight we're going to have an amazing guest on, and I'm so excited. I love when the guests come on and share their journey with us, and they get to be introduced to you all as an audience. On Planting Positive Seeds, we plant positive seeds in the lives of others, and so I'm so glad tonight on Inspirational Talks, we have Miss Kelenda Annette. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me. I am excited about the interview, just going over and reading your bio and your careers, achievements, and insight. Miss, can you share with us and the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I would love to. I grew up on a little orchard in Washington State under the cherry blossoms and the apple blossoms, and I went through some really hard times in my life. I got married young to a Marine, and he was in the war right after 9/11. So
Wow.
it was a tremendously challenging time. And our best friend was also a Marine in the war, and he ended up committing suicide, and our marriage didn't survive it. So it was very heartbreaking and a really hard time. And I moved back to Washington to be closer to my family once our marriage was over. You know, he chose to go the party route and numb himself and sleep around, and I am a person of faith, so I turned straight to God to get me
Amen.
time, because I honestly couldn't get out of bed for 3 days when I got the news that our best friend had killed himself, and he was gone from the world. And I needed God, and I needed support, and I needed family. And so that's where I turned to. And it took me 5 years to get past the trauma of that and losing not only my best friend, but also my best friend and partner in life, my marriage. So when I turned 30, I met someone new who I thought was totally Prince Charming, and it seemed too good to be true. We had all the same things in common, and I'm like, finally, is it my chance to have love in my life again? And I was so excited, but I only to learn that this person had stalked me online, and he had and got to know friends, and formulated an introduction. He had targeted me, and that's why we had so much in common, because he already knew everything about me, everything I liked. And he was a deeply disturbed person and a and I'm certain that I'm not the only woman he had done this to. But he began abusing me in every possible way. And I know that for a fact, because I went to the detectives and the sheriff's deputies, and they sent me to this place who are advocates for victims of crimes and situations like this. So I went there, and they had me fill out all these forms, and you had to check a box if this form of abuse had ever happened to you. And man, there's so many types of abuse. I had no idea there were so many, and there were hundreds of check boxes of the different areas that someone can abuse you emotionally, physically, verbally, sexually, financially, slavery, and almost every single box. And I remember staring down at all these boxes, wondering, how did I get here? And how did this happen? And how could another human being do this to someone? And I was so traumatized, and I was desperately trying to escape. I had a whole sheriff's department behind me. And the way that the system is set up, it does not protect the victim. They basically, I was to put myself in danger, and wait for him to come for me to kill me.
Wow.
And then the police arrive in time. So it was a situation that was that dire. And I have my concealed weapons permit, and the sheriff's deputy, and this man had threatened my family because he knew it would hurt me way more to hurt someone in my family than to hurt me. So he had threatened them. And so I had been giving my my weapon to my little brother, saying if he comes around, because my little brother was my roommate at the time, and I'm like, if he comes around, I want you to be safe. And the sheriff's deputy, I'll never forget what he said. He said, stop giving your gun to your little brother, and if he comes back, put 3 in his chest, because that's how bad it was. And he knew they couldn't protect me all the time, and he knew the system was not set up to protect me. And when he learned how it actually really worked, maybe he was a newer deputy, I'm not sure, but he couldn't believe it. And he said, in no way would I ever tell my mom or my sister or someone I loved to put themselves in this position, because what if we don't get there in time, you know? And so he said, I totally understand where you're coming from and why you don't want to put yourself in more danger or your family in more danger. But he said, Kelenda, please do not give up. I'm going to find a way around this. And I said, thank you, but I didn't believe him. And man, did he find a way around it. I went back to thank him 2 years later, because I actually left the state to save my life. I was that terrified. I went back to thank him for what he had done. And I learned that he called in off-duty sheriffs, and he everybody on duty to go and do a massive show of force and make this person know, you are on our radar. And if she turns up with a scratch, if she even feels afraid and she thinks it's because of you, you're done. And they said that at first he wouldn't let them in the house, and they were banging on all his doors and windows, and they sent out multiple teams, and they talked to all his neighbors and was just telling what he had done. So he didn't get away, and they did get him off of, they got him away from me. But by that time I was so traumatized that I didn't know how to function in life. I couldn't even sit with my own thoughts without the horrors of what he had done to me replaying in my mind. I felt like a shell of a person. I felt like nothing was left of me. And I learned later that when you are in a perpetual state of duress, where you're under so much stress and abuse physically and mentally and emotionally, that you physically lose your capacity to feel joy. So I couldn't feel joy or hope or anything anymore. I felt like I was nothing, and I felt completely hopeless, and I felt like I didn't even want anymore. I didn't see the point. And so I went to a program for therapy and for help and for healing. I knew that I couldn't do this by myself. I knew I couldn't get back and reclaim who I was by myself. I needed God's help. And so I did this discipleship program and intense trauma therapy for about a year. And it didn't even take that long. Man, I resisted at first because I had been so messed up. And immerse myself completely in Jesus and in this program to rebuild myself, rebuild my life,
Yes.
find joy again, find hope again. And within 6 months, God totally transformed me into somebody
Ooh,
I
thank God.
recognize. I laid everything at the feet of Jesus. And I remember it so vividly because I went to an altar one night, and I didn't care who was watching. I
Amen.
went and I was like, God, and I didn't do it in a sweet, humble, beautiful way. I almost challenged God, and I told him, I all the choices I've made in my life up until this point have got me to this moment, and it is a living hell. It is miserable, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to live it. So I don't want to do it my way anymore. I want to see what happens if I do it your way. And
Mm-hmm.
I need you to talk to me. I need you to teach me how to hear your voice, because to know what your way is, I'm going to need answers. And I immersed myself in God, and I made that agreement with him. And when I spoke those words to God, it was like
Yeah.
the entire church disappeared. It was like I was in this beautiful golden orb, and my hair started moving around me, and there was no air. There was no air in the room, but my hair started
Mm-hmm.
around me. And when I left the church, there was the biggest rainbow in the sky that I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Um, that is just for me. I knew it. Me and deal. I knew that I had this covenant with God, this agreement with God, that if I surrendered everything and all that pain and suffering
Yes.
and trauma and everything terrible, everything negative that had ever happened to me, that he was going to remake me and rebuild me into somebody magnificent that I could have, way better than I could have ever thought to ask for. So
Wow.
it took 6 months, and 6 months later, my doctor, who had been there from the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
he told me, what is going on here? Because you have refused medication. Like, they wanted to put me
Mm-hmm.
on medications for my traumas and stuff. And that I don't have anything against medications.
Right.
Your brain is an organ, you
Mm-hmm.
things, but what God was telling me was, trust in me, in
Amen.
your situation, trust in me.
Yeah.
And so I had refused medications, and this doctor had seen me transform in a matter of months. And he said, I got to ask, do you like pray and that like works for you? Because you are
Mm.
only completely healthy, you are my healthiest patient, and you refuse
Wow.
my medication. And
Try God.
and knew that that wasn't just for me. I knew that God had more for me. I felt called to go to the world's darkest corners and be a beacon of light, and to be a lighthouse and a guiding light
Yeah.
of hope for others who may have suffered the same things. And so I went to South Africa, Skid Row in LA,
Wow.
Peru, Chile, Brazil, and I served in the world's darkest corners in red light districts with 14-year-old pregnant prostitutes and
Wow.
clubs, and on Skid Row, where everybody is living in all these tents doing drugs, and just the
Mm-hmm.
darkest corners. And I just loved on these people, and I told
Yeah.
them, there is more for you. Whatever got you here to this place in your
Yeah.
life, I want you to know there is more for you. And
Yeah.
when I came back from that mission work, I was recruited into television, and man, I rose through the ranks quickly. I ended up becoming a chief revenue officer for an amazing production house. I currently am
Yes.
chief revenue officer for a 250-acre multi-million-dollar estate, which is so phenomenally beautiful. I launched
Wow.
a company called Limitless, and it's a social
Okay.
corporation and a hybrid global nonprofit. And it was born out of all those people that I met and all those countries
Yeah.
to. And I went in 2023 to Greece on an anti-trafficking mission, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a story for another time because it's ironic that they attempted to traffic me while I was on an anti-trafficking mission.
Oh
So
my
um,
goodness.
I one of the projects that we have is very strongly rooted in anti-trafficking efforts because it's happening all over the US. It's happening
Right.
other countries, but Limitless, we have multiple projects, and my heart is with it, and it's so entrenched in it. It is my life's work. It's what God told me to do, and
Yes.
I got this opportunity. The founder of Miss Corporate America, she saw my LinkedIn and she was thinking, "Who are you? And why you competing for Miss Corporate America?" Because it empowers, it's been around for decades, and it
Yes.
empowers incredible women in business who have also made an impact in their local, national, or global communities. And she invited me to compete. I ended up competing, and it was the time of my life. It was
Wow.
fun. I didn't think that I would win. I I actually told another queen that I voted for her instead of me.
Oh,
I named Miss
wow.
Corporate, and I competed so that I could have this platform to be
Mm-hmm.
a beacon of light and hope,
Yes.
power, and living proof that even if you are way, way, way down below rock bottom, there is hope for you. There is power for you. There is
Yes.
magnificent life on the other side. So never, ever, ever give up, because the surest way to failure is giving up. And
Mm-hmm.
the surest way to success is always trying one more time. And I'm, as a deep person of faith, I just say, God is the answer. You know, He knows what
Amen.
we have need of before we even ask Him. And
Yes.
ask Him for a little bitty rose, and He will shower me with all the roses in the world. And
Amen.
it felt like winning Miss Corporate America. It felt like I was getting showered with all the roses in the world.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Your story has just been a story of bravery, a story of courage, a story of being vulnerable, a story of resilience and impact. Just to hear everything that you had to go through. And I often tell those on the show that you have to go through to grow through. And now to see you, in your platform and what you've done and the places that you've been, you are that beacon of light because I can hear it, from your heart, from the way that you express that this is a love of yours. And I'm so, so, so thankful that you could come and share because that's what Inspirational Talks is all about. I know that there's someone on the other side that's listening, that's been through maybe some of the things that you mentioned that you went through, and they need to know that they're not alone. They need to know that I can overcome, that I can make it. And so I'm so grateful that your actions, your words turned into actions with your company and with your nonprofit and, being out there, talking to the people and encouraging them because, sometimes I wrote down, people just need to know that they're seen. They go through their life and so many people have, looked over them because they don't have on the newest clothes or they may have had, something happen to them and then everybody found out and they're in shame and guilt and they don't know how to get to the next step. But that one kind person that God sends, to them just to let them know you are seen, you are heard, you know,
Yeah.
you are valid in what you're feeling, but we also need to let you know you can try again, you can get back out there. And so I'm so glad that God shined it on the person's heart to come to you and to try for Miss Corporate America. So congratulations of 2025. I want to let you all know she looks amazing. She has her crown and her sash. She's amazing. She looks amazing, and her platform and what she's doing is just such an encouragement for me to hear, because I love helping people, and I love giving and empowering, and not just letting it be words, but my motto is helping them to leap into their greatness. So that means there has to be an action taken. So thank you so much for sharing your story with the listeners of Inspirational Talks. And I could hear all through that, because I was going to ask you what inspired you, but you told us the people that you met and the situations that they were in. It pushed you to catapult you to do more. And so I know, and I could ask you about overcoming some obstacles that you've overcame, but you've explained that too. And so I just want the listeners to know. I want them to be inspired. And I just thank you for sharing, because you've done that. Even for those who want to compete in beauty pageants, they may be thinking it's not gonna be me too. But hey, here you are, the reigning Miss Corporate America. And so I just thank you for sharing everything that you did, and you've answered some of the questions that I had in my mind. So I'm so glad that you felt um just the urge to share with us, and to tell the listening audience, if anything, I want them to know that they can make it. They can overcome those obstacles. They can overcome anxiety, depression, homelessness, whatever
Yeah.
that wherever they are, there's going to be a next step. And I'm so glad that your nonprofit and your company, you're out there helping with the platforms and more, that in what you're doing and some of your initiatives.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm like, okay, yes, I love that I'm getting a chance to meet you, and I'm learning about what you're doing. And so I just thank you. I continue to bless you on this journey that you're on. I want to ask you, I guess, about some upcoming projects, or some things that you're going to get into this year with your platform, and so that people can just be informed.
Yes, I'm working on a book. It will be my first solo author book. I'm also co-author.
Awesome.
So I would love for people to follow me. They can go to limitlessrising.org and fill out a contact form. They can follow me on Instagram at Kelenda Annette. But one of the projects that is very dear to me is it's called Soteria, and it is a Greek word for God's salvation for his children. And so
Mm-hmm.
inviting artists locally, nationally, and globally to donate a piece of art that they have created along with their bio. And then we're going to host an art gala, and 100% of the proceeds will go to saving vulnerable children from trafficking. So I have been working with some people in Athens, and they really
Mm-hmm.
need a safe place for these children, and it will also serve across the US. So that is one of the initiatives. Another initiative is called Precious Knowledge, and it's raising funds for education opportunities for children who wouldn't have it otherwise. And that was inspired
Yeah.
by a girl that I met in South Africa, and I taught her how to read, write, and do math. She was born
Wow.
without, and she didn't think she could be anybody. And when I finally dug it out of her, she wanted to be a teacher. And last
Wow.
we lost her. We lost an angel from the world. She was
Yeah.
battling with her health, and she died young. And so in her honor, we have started Precious Knowledge, and
Yeah.
she's going to live on and be teaching,
Yes.
providing education for children just like herself.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna
those
cry.
are, I know it's like hard for me to even say out
Oh,
crying. So
yes, but that is so Precious, and thank you for your yes to helping and reaching and seeing the need, and all of the people that work with you and help you to get these things done. Just thank you for your yes to helping other people know that they can. I just want to share quickly because I've done missions in Africa for the last 2 or 3 years, and going over there also, my nonprofit is called Planting Positive Seeds, and so Inspirational Talks was birthed out of me putting the work, putting my action to work, but also now having others come on and just share what they're doing. And so I saw the need to help, the girls to get
Yes.
uniforms and to get
Yes.
underwear, some things that we take for granted. But just making sure that they have some of the necessities that they need, and even being there, like being a part of their culture. So when you say you've gone here and there and been able to be eye level and face to face and personal with each person that you meet, I think that that's a really, really great thing. So continue to be amazing. My heart is just overflowing because I love helping others, and I love to hear, everything that you're doing. So listeners, we're going to add her information so you can get in contact if you would like to follow her, and follow some of the initiatives that she's doing. I want to ask you, Miss Kelenda Annette, what are some of your final thoughts that you would like to share? Because this has been an amazing, amazing interview, just listening to you and everything that you've done so far. But any final thoughts or anything that we didn't get a chance to mention that you would like to close with?
Sure. And we need to stay in touch about this Africa stuff because not everybody knows this, but there is a little baby Kalinda in Africa. They named after me,
Wow.
about to turn 2. And during my reign as Miss Corporate America, I'm actually going back to Africa and we're going to video the whole thing, and the world will get to meet some of these beautiful, incredible children. But my
Yes.
thoughts. I was asked a question the other day, and it made me think so deep. And it was, when you get your wings and you leave this earth, what do you want to be remembered for? And
Mm-hmm.
that question really hit me. And I had to really think about it. And I didn't want to give some off the cuff answer. So I really thought about it, and I decided that I want my life to be a light so fierce and a love so deep that it
Yeah.
goes into generations I'll never see.
Yeah.
I can't even say that without crying. And so
I
my
know.
advice is, live from your heart,
Yeah.
and there's something in you that only you can give the world, and
Oh,
the world
yeah.
needs you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm going to cry right along with you because I feel that I often tell people, and this is a little thing about my life because I know this is your first time being on the show, but I often share one of the reasons why I started my nonprofit and Inspirational Talks because I am a survivor of attempted suicide at the age of 14. And
Oh
so
my
God saved me, and he showed me a glimpse of all of these books that I was writing and going around the world and helping people because I was young and I didn't see it. I couldn't see it. I thought I was misunderstood. And it was because it was more of what was in me and he was in me. And so it was an attack on me to try to get me to end my life. And
God.
so I tell people all the time, there's one you, and God made you for a purpose, and no one else can do what you do. They can do a little, it can be similar, but you were put here to do what you can do. And so I thank you for that amazing nugget, for everyone to listen, to chew on, to add to their life as a mantra. I know from meeting you and hearing everything that you do that you are a light, You will be remembered for the things that you are doing because you are giving with your whole heart. And I just want to say thank you so, so much for just coming on Inspirational Talks. And you've almost made me share tears because I just love and love people and love helping. And so I'm so touched. And
You're
right before we leave, can you just give people one more time how to stay connected with you?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Limitlessrising.org. You can fill out a contact form and you can follow me on my social media platforms. At Kelenda Annette is my Instagram. And you can look up my name, Kelenda Annette, on Facebook. Stay connected with me. I'm on the Miss Corporate America website as a reigning queen. So those are some ways that we can stay connected.
I'm going to get connected right after this.
Please
So
do. I you are so golden and so beautiful, and you
thank
just
you.
shine, and I love that.
Thank you so much. Look, from one queen to another,
Yeah.
I am so grateful. Well, thank you again for sharing your time and your story with us. I'm so happy that I got a chance to meet you and to know you.
Me,
So thank you again.
thank you.
You're welcome. So thank you everyone for joining us on Inspirational Talks with Dr. LaDonna Marie. Be sure to come back and visit the podcast, share it with your friends and families, and those that you think would like to hear from my special guests who come on each week to share their story with you. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a great, great night. This has been another purpose-packed episode of Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast. Please remember to like, share, and tell your friends about the podcast. Stay tuned for many more Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie.